All right, we are now recording. Okay. So just a reminder, we are recording this for learning purposes, just so you know you are being recorded. And my classroom expectations, remember, make sure you follow along with the Nearpod, use the chat tool respectfully and appropriately, and then respond to questions and instructions the first time. So, hey, how are you? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Okay, what we're going to be doing today is we're just going to go, just call the lesson or this week is Inside the Courts. And we're going to talk about the U.S. court system, how it's set up. There's different levels, and we'll be going over all of those today. But before I do, I'm just going to jump right into your course so you can kind of see it here. Remember, I do post all the recordings to the front page of the class. If you go into plan here, we don't have much longer left. So we have our live class today. Today is the 2nd. The exit ticket / assignment will be due on the 3rd, on the 8th right here. We'll have another live class on the 9th. And then we have our winter break that's coming up. It's going to take us all there till the end of the block, which is on the 7th. So not much longer until this class is over. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, I do have the Nearpod link right here. If you're watching this, you can come and get that link right here. And then here is the assignment right here. I'll also post the video to here as well after we're done. Okay, so our objective today. Our objective is given a quiz in the OLS, students will accurately answer multiple choice questions about the U.S. court system with 80% accuracy across one trial. Okay, a look inside the courts, okay? So we've already gone over quite a bit of this as we're really diving into the law and criminal law proceedings. But law governs our behaviors, but we do not always follow them. We may drive over the speed limit, take something that isn't ours, or do damage to someone else's property. When we do not follow the laws in society, we are committing a crime. We may then come to the attention of the criminal justice system. Sometimes, though, we get in disputes with other individuals that don't involve criminal activities. These disputes can be resolved through the civil court system. In this unit, you'll learn about the steps within each system and the important people involved and the ways in which cases can be resolved. So it's interesting, and maybe we look at, I'll just bring up a famous case, right? So the O.J. Simpson case. You're probably all somewhat maybe familiar with that. So if you're not, O.J. Simpson was a famous football player for the Buffalo Bills. I only know that because my mom's favorite team was the Buffalo Bills, and she really liked O.J., I guess, until that was pre his murdering his wife, okay, which he was actually never convicted in a criminal court for killing his wife, okay. He was acquitted, which basically means that they couldn't find beyond a reasonable doubt that he did commit that murder. But he was sued in a civil court and lost, and his wife that was deceased, her family got damages for what's going on because they could find reasonable evidence that was the case. So he's convicted in one but not the other. Okay, so let's do a little example right here. So I said that's messed up. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to prove somebody did something without beyond a reasonable doubt, right? One that just happened just recently was the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but he was acquitted too. And then that's what they're doing Bill Cosby. Yep, exactly. So same thing, right? He was actually got off on there's so many appeals processes that you can go through, right? Um, I actually just listened to a crime podcast as well that talked about uh, this guy. He's been on death row and found convicted of the murder a couple times, but he's on his third or fourth appeal, going through the system, and it just kind of drags on and on. So it's like, okay, where do you go to this point? Okay, so it's really hard to prove things like that if you don't have the evidence, and they're just willing to give almost second chances with the amendments and stuff like that. But let's go over this example real quick, okay? So the US court system, and here's just an example. So Chris is 19 and Jamie 18 are at the mall on a busy Saturday afternoon. Jamie buys 2 CDs, 3 shirts, and a new video game. Chris too finds several interesting purchases. By the time they enter their final store, they are both nearly out of money. Jamie sees an awesome pair of jeans on sale, but with what money she has left, plus what Chris has, she's still $40 short. She really wanted those jeans, and because they were on sale, they're the last ones in her size. Chris suggests that she tries on the jeans, removes the tag, and stuffs the shorts she is currently wearing in her purse. He tells her to just walk out of the store wearing the new jeans. If Jamie does this, she is committing theft. Okay. So maybe put in the chat, what do you think is going to happen? Any ideas? Yeah, she can be arrested. Yep, she's going to get caught, sent to juvenile. Now, is she going to be sent to juvenile? Look at their ages, right? All right, here we go. Okay. So this is what happens. So Jamie takes the jeans, but as she and Chris are about to leave the mall security stops them at the door. What happens to them now? Okay. Because they are both over the age of 18, they are adults. They will be sent through the criminal court system and put through a criminal trial. They are found guilty and are sentenced to 6 months in jail. But after their sentencing, Chris and Jamie both received notice that the store is now suing them for their actions. Okay. The store claims that the cost of the time necessary for them to appear in court took them away from their business, and that Chris and Jamie should pay them for their lost hours of work. Okay. So Chris and Jamie must now go through the process of a civil trial. Okay. So you see how this can all get wrapped up, best way to do it is not do things. Okay. So what I wanted you to do now is I want you, let me see if I can just if you're not on there yet, if you wouldn't mind getting in the Nearpod, what do you currently know about the court system? So any kind of knowledge, I just kind of want to know your background knowledge about it before we go any further. Okay, not a lot, no worries. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit more today. I've heard that once you get in the system, it's hard to get out of the system. So better not even get into trouble with it at all. Yeah, so the problem is once you have a criminal record, right? There's ways to kind of get it expunged or taken off. But once you do, almost every place you work for does a background check. And if they show that you have a criminal record, what's the likelihood they're going to employ you, right? And so what that does is it gets people to say, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to go do something that's illegal to make money, and they get back into it again. And it's a revolving door. Okay. Okay, so somebody said prosecution, defense, testimonies, deposition, jury, bailiff. Okay, good. I know the general proceedings of the court, but overall very little. Guilty until proven innocent. Okay, so that's a little backwards, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. However, if there's a lot of probable cause, right, they might withhold bail. So basically, if you're accused of a crime, the judge will go and you'll do like your pre-sentence, or not pre-sentencing, but you'll go in front of a judge and they'll give you some bail money. They just want to make sure that you're going to attend again, right? And the higher it's set, right, the bond limit up, the more it is. But it's innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, it's backwards. That's all right. No worries. Yep. All right. Multiple for different crimes or stages of the law system. Okay. All right. Anything else you guys know about the system? Very long and painful process. I would definitely agree. There's sometimes years upon years until your case gets heard, or if it's been in the system for a while. Longer cases, they ask for really complicated cases. They also ask for extensions to get things in, and exact things have to be followed. And if it's not followed, then you're up for, you can look at getting an appeal, right? And having a mistrial and then having to do it all over again. Somebody said on the chat, I've heard Utah is more harsh than other states. Not sure if that's true or not. Well, let's just say this: overall, the United States, we hold more inmates than anywhere in the world, right? So we are very predicated on law and the systems that we've put in place. And so it really is kind of a burden. I think they're trying to get more into the point where we're not having so many, looking at rehabilitation stuff, but it's hard, right? Okay, let's watch a little bit right here about inside the courts.
The seat of the sprawling federal court system is found in Article 3 of the Constitution. It says this: the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. In other words, it was up to Congress to just fill in the details. The first effort was the Judiciary Act of 1789. It established an early version of the three-tiered system we still have today. The structure was worked, it was then reworked over the years. Circuits, or geographic areas, were added, combined, morphed, reorganized, sometimes for political reasons, like limiting Southern influence during and after the Civil War, sometimes just for plain old practical reasons to manage an increasing case workload. Two notable developments here. In 1869, Congress set the number of seats on the Supreme Court at 9, which still holds. And in 1912, Congress established the federal court structure we have today. The three main levels: district courts, that's a trial court; circuit courts, which are the first level of appeals; and then the Supreme Court of the United States. That's the final level of appeal. Last word. There are 94 district courts, 13 circuit courts, and of course, one Supreme Court. By the way, all their members have lifetime appointments. So let's jump back into the weeds for a second here, work our way up this tier. District courts are the trial courts for civil and criminal cases. Each has at least one district judge, appointed by the president, then confirmed by the Senate. There are over 670 district court judges. Then the circuit courts of appeal. A federal district court's decision can be appealed to a circuit court of appeals. There are 12 federal circuits that divide the country into different regions, plus the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, which has jurisdiction over national issues, things like trade and patents. Now, the Supreme Court. It has the power to decide appeals on all cases brought in federal court or in state court if they deal with federal law. They choose about 80 cases a year out of the 7,000 to 8,000 petitions they get. Members of the Supreme Court are referred to as justices, not judges. Interesting detail also, The Constitution does not specify qualifications for being a Supreme Court justice. They can be any age, have any education, profession, native-born citizenship. A justice doesn't even have to be a lawyer. They don't have to graduate law school, but historically, all have been trained in the law. On top of deciding cases, justices also oversee one or more of these circuits. They can be asked to set bond for a defendant there, stop deportations from the circuit, or screen applications for stays of execution. There's a lot happening. It is a giant federal court system with thousands of cases, hundreds of judges, all resting on one short article in the Constitution.
All right. Okay. I know that almost kind of seemed a lot complicated because there's just so much going on here. And as you're looking into the government bureaucracy of the court system, there is a lot. So we're looking at more of the federal level right now. So somebody said, "Have you eaten at Sticky Bird?" They actually take people from jail and help them in life. I haven't. I think I know one place for there. Isn't there one like by Farmington Station? Or once they're released. Yeah, I think I might go there sometime. That's kind of good. It's nice to see businesses try to help them out, right? Okay, so let's look at the U.S. federal court system. Okay, as they talked about in the thing, it's under Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution, outlines the federal court system. The federal court system has 3 tiers, which they talked about in the video. You have the district courts, the U.S. Court of Appeals, and then also the Supreme Court. So the district court in the United States, the first tier of court within the federal system is the 94 district courts. These are the trial courts of the federal system, and they hear both civil and criminal cases. For example, a case of treason would be held in a federal court because treason is a crime against the whole country. Okay, federal courts also have units within them known as bankruptcy courts. So this is on the federal level. Bankruptcy courts handle all cases of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a civil matter that refers to the process of being to declare financially insolvent or unable to pay your debts. So that's the district courts. Now, the U.S. Court of Appeals, or what they call the circuit courts, they're the second tier of the federal government, consists solely of the U.S. Courts of Appeals. There are 94 district courts and then are divided into 12 regions or circuits. Each circuit hearing appeals from the district courts located within its area, all areas of the country belonging to a circuit. So, for example, if a criminal case, right, goes across state lines, then it can be tried federally, right? There's 2 crimes committed in different states. So that's why. So we have your own state system, which we're going to talk about in a second. But anything that goes over like the borders of multiple states and that kind of stuff can be tried federally. Okay. So here's this. So our treason case might come to the U.S. Court of Appeals if the original verdict against the person accused of the crime called the defendant or defendants can show that something original trial was unfair to them. In this case, the verdict may be overturned. Now, a lot of the people that are in the system, they don't have enough money to have a lawyer. So basically, the court will appoint a lawyer to them. One of the big things for appeals is actually that these lawyers, right, they're doing it at not a very high rate as they could on the, I guess, private side if somebody else was privately doing it, and they sometimes don't always have their best interests. And so they always have some type of unfair thing that they feel that they can appeal to the courts. You see it over and over again. Okay, the last one is the Supreme Court. Okay, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the country, and it has the final say in all legal matters. The court consists of a Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices. The Supreme Court has a jurisdiction over any case, but be it federal or state. So basically, something that goes at a state level could go to the Supreme Court to get heard. But here is the crazy of what's going on. So the Supreme Court also has the privilege of choosing the cases they hear. Each year, the Supreme Court hears about 70 cases and decides another 50 without going through a trial. But they receive over 7,000 requests every year because there is such a high demand for their time. They usually only hear cases that are socially important and or that are related to the Constitution in some way. So one of the big things that the Supreme Court is looking at now is they had the huge court case of what's called Roe v. Wade that happened back there. And now there are some things they're bringing that back up. So Roe v. Wade is the abortion. How should abortion be handled within the United States? So that would be something that the Supreme Court kind of does with. Okay, so what we're going to do, I just threw you guys on here, and you probably want to go through all these questions. I think there's just 5 questions here, and I'm just going to jump to the student version because these are going to help you on the assignment that you have today for this week. So as it's changing here, you'll have 5 questions, okay? So I'm just going to kind of roll through these pretty quickly so we can go through them. Okay. Which of the following is a federal court? Is it district or small claims? Okay. We just kind of went over that. Hopefully you chose the right. Oh, sorry. Oh, dang it. I always do that wrong. Okay, let's try that again. So district. I always push that one instead next. Which level do civil cases operate? Okay. So neither the state nor the federal level, or both the state and the federal level. Okay, good. Can criminal, I think actually cases, maybe face charges at both the state and the federal level for a single crime? So could you be charged federally and to the state? And the answer is actually possibly, as long as the charges are different at each level. Okay. So it's a possibly. Trial courts can hear criminal cases. Circuit courts can hear civil cases. Is that true? That would actually be false. Okay, there are nearly 100 district courts, a dozen circuit courts, and 1 Supreme Court. I think that should be true. So, oh, it's not letting me submit. Okay. Well, anyways, hopefully you kind of wrote those down and got those, or you can watch the video again. Okay, let's go onto the state court system. So the second classification of the courts within the U.S. system involve the state courts. Each state court system may be arranged differently as outlined by the individual state constitution. Each U.S. state has their own constitution or governing document that may function much kind of like the U.S. Constitution does for the entire nation. So court systems in each state vary slightly from each state court system in the United States. So it's kind of different. Somebody had a question. They said, so if an attorney does pro bono, does that mean the state pays them? Yes. Yeah, so nobody does anything for free. Let's be honest. Oh, you think I'm on student view? Okay, yeah, let me go back to teacher view here. Thank you for reminding me that. Oh, that's why I couldn't submit it. Okay, so I'll go back. It looks like some of you guys got 5 out of 5, some 4 out of 5, most of you 5 out of 5. So looks like we did it somewhat right. Okay. All right. So this is kind of how it's broken down. The state court systems, you have a town, city, and county courts. The first tier of the state court includes small claims and probate courts. Small claims courts usually handle matters involving disputes other than very low sums of money, like stolen purses, while probate courts determine the validity of wills and estates. Okay. The remaining 3 tiers of the state court system usually have the circuit court and appeals court and the state Supreme Court. So if you go to like the Utah State Capitol, they have the Utah State Supreme Court that's there, that the ones that make decisions. Above the local courts and the state circuit courts follow the Court of Appeals, and finally the state Supreme Court. I already read that. Okay, so same thing here, because I want to make sure you guys kind of know the questions as it is related to your assignment. So I'm changing to the student view so I can go through all the questions. Okay. Which role is found as absolutely for the for every kind of court? You're always going to have a what in there? Are you always going to have a jury? No. Judge. What is the difference between a civil case and a criminal case? Is it whether punishment is a fine or jail time, or whether someone is charged with a crime? It's actually whether someone's charged with a crime. Because remember, civil cases, right? They would just pay damages. Okay, which of the following is an example of a state court? Okay, a state court is, remember, bankruptcy is always federal, so it's going to be small claims. Marjorie sued the FBI for violating her rights with an unconstitutional search and seizure, suing the agency for $1 million. Hopefully she loses. She lost the initial civil suit against the FBI, but believes the ruling may be flawed and wants to continue fighting the ruling. What is the next step? Yeah, the appeals court, not the state Supreme Court. Yeah. Okay, civil cases can be handled at a federal level if 2 parties are from different states and they dispute the amount of a certain level. Oh, civil cases may be handled at the federal level. Can they be handled at the federal level? Civil cases? Yeah, especially if they're from different states. Okay, and then you'll submit that. Okay. All right, looks like most of you got 5 out of 5. Well, there's a couple that didn't, so just kind of look at those because that'll help you. Okay, this is gonna basically prep us for a little bit of next week's lesson, which we're going to talk more about how different basically careers in the court system. But I think this is kind of interesting to show if you want to maybe work in the court system, you don't have to be an attorney, you don't have to go to law school, but here's some options.
The mission of the federal judiciary is to serve as the guardians of the Constitution and to uphold the rule of law.
The federal judiciary protects people regardless of who they are and how much money they have.
The function we play is so important in making sure that justice is done.
We're defending people's rights and protecting the Constitution.
You have people's lives in your hands.
There's no question that people who work in the federal court make a difference.
My staff is absolutely critical to the work I do.
All rise, please.
You do not need a legal background to work in the federal courts. The positions that need to be filled are wide and varied.
I am a court reporter.
Director of Information Technology.
United States Probation Officer.
I'm an Assistant Federal Public Defender.
Help Desk Technician.
Courtroom Deputy Clerk.
Civil Case Administrator.
Budget Manager.
There's room for everyone.
The best part about it, though, is that you're not tied into one career track. You can always shift and go to another.
This is the greatest job in the world.
I can grow. I can affect change.
I think the courts will give you the opportunity to try to test your talents and expand on your skills.
I feel empowered. I feel important. Every time I walk into the courthouse, I feel like my day is meaningful.
I love working for the court. I do.
This is a great job and a great place to work for someone who's interested in going to different parts of the country.
From Dallas
to Boise,
Knoxville,
San Francisco,
Chicago,
Tallahassee,
New York,
and Washington, D.C.
It's really nice because you're not limited to just your location in your particular court.
You have the inside track, essentially, to promotion opportunities, to advancement.
You can come in as a docket clerk and work your way all the way up to being a manager.
What do you think about that?
This organization provides you with the tools that you need to succeed.
The court is very dedicated to continuing education.
They've really been great in terms of mentoring me and training me.
I find myself learning constantly, new things, new skill sets.
One thing that I love about my job is the flexibility. It gives me the opportunity to balance work and family.
The focus at the courthouse is to get the work done, to do it right, but to also have a life outside of just the work.
Equal justice for all is the bedrock of the American judicial system, and that's what we're all about.
All right. So just like a lot of places, the court systems need you if you want to do that, if that's interesting to you. Okay. There's my contact information if you need it. Like always, remember, get on the course, go to Inside the Courts Lesson 4 quiz. That's what your exit ticket is and your assignment for this week. So I'll stick around if you guys have any other questions. So I'll stop the recording and have a great day.